and that's the topic of fear, right? And generally when we hear just the word, it like ignites something inside of us. It like ignites some sort of feeling, some sort of emotion, some sort of thinking or thought pattern, right? There's a lot of programming when it comes down to fear. Fear is like the most programmed of all concepts, I would say, when it comes to our society. And you know, I posted the picture on Facebook that kind of made the clear distinction between risks and primal instincts, right, versus that of fear and that of your thought patterns and that of what you create, right? So when we think of instincts, like if a tiger runs in the room, you know, you'll have an instinct to do something. You can be very courageous and face the tiger, right, and maybe that will go well or not. And then you could also run away from the tiger, right? And then both, you're just doing what you need to do to survive. That's it. So in that sense, that's survival. That's I want to keep myself alive. That's I want to continuously, you know, reproduce. And all these like instinctual, like primal things that date back a long, long time, right? So now we have the other side of this, which is our, you know, created fears, mostly through our thought patterns, mostly through what we are perceiving. But when we think of our fears, you know, our fear is not like how it was back in the day when they're like you have to go hunt for food and you're worrying about like literally tigers like running around in the jungle that are going to eat you, right? Those are like the legitimate fears. Our world of fears is like we may not be able to pay rent, you know, at the end of the month, or we may, you know, lose our new boyfriend that we just found or girlfriend or whatever, right? Or we may not get, or something in the future we may not get, you know, because that's kind of more like with losing. The other side, it's like we may not get something that we think we need, right? I'm not going to get that promotion that I've been like just working everything for. My whole life has been for this promotion, then I don't get it, and what's going to happen, right? So you have all these fears, and I mean fear, there's so many different types of fears, obviously. We have fear of responsibility, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of blah, 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 like fear of everything, right? Pretty much everything. We're fearful in some sense. And a lot of this has come from programming. Right? Our programming from what we've taken in from our parents and society and friends and peers and ourselves and situations where we haven't been able to let go of the things that have come in, because anything that's come in you're able to put down. Like if you picked up something you can put it down, right? So a belief, a fear, these are things that you've accumulated. Because generally when you see a baby, like, you know, they're not thinking about when they're starting to learn how to walk, like they're falling down and they're like, well, like, I don't want to fall down again, so I'm not going to try that, right? You're like, I'm going to keep walking and then I'm going to fall down more and I'm going to keep doing it just because I know I need to grow and I need to keep doing it. Like, there's no like thought pattern, it's just like, I got to do this, right? But of course now we have this like perception that if we fall down, that's like, whew, it's the end of the world, right? So there's the failure that we don't want to sink into, right? This fear of failure. But really, I mean, firstly, if we touch on this idea of fear in the sense that we create all of it. Like we create all of the manifestation of the fear. Because generally, you know, when you have a fear about something, it's either coming from something you've seen, like you've taken in, or a past experience. You know, it's generally where these things are coming from. So you have this fear about whatever it is, whatever the fear is, it doesn't really matter. Let's do the job promotion one. I have the fear of not getting this promotion, right? So now I've instilled this fear in myself. I'm feeling this emotion. Right? I'm feeling this negative feeling, right? And now I'm acting through that feeling. Because of course, like, we need to feel things as we're acting. Like, it's not like we're not feeling anything when we act. We're always like, kind of like feeling something. So if I were to ask like somebody who's very sad, grieving, guilty, to go up and say like, go tell that person like I love you and give them a hug. It's almost physically impossible for that person to do that, right? Because they're so like, my world, right? So they can't go, they just can't do it. It's not even in their perception. So of course, this fear they've created now is influencing their actions and ultimately influencing the circumstances that they're in. Now on the other side, if you have this loving, joyous, peaceful person, you go tell them like, go create a conflict with that person, go punch them and start a fight, right? Probably not gonna happen. Once again, it's not even physically possible. You'd be like laughing as you're trying to do it, right? So these two basic examples show you that it's this emotion that's you know, manifesting the action. Of course, when we talk about law of manifestation, where we have something that comes to us first, because the thought doesn't come from nowhere, then the thought, then the emotion, then the word or action, they're kind of, you know, intertwined, right? And that's what's manifesting. So now when we think about, say we have a fear of somebody doing something again, like we don't trust them because they messed up yesterday. So now we have this fear, if I give them this responsibility to do this tomorrow, I mean, they just did it yesterday, they failed, so now I think they're going to fail tomorrow. But the thing is, I'm manifesting how this situation is going to play out. Of course, they have their own way of acting. However, if you're projecting this, right, where I really think, it's like you give them the task, I think you're going to fail, but I'm going to give it to you anyways, right? The chances of them being firstly motivated to do it are not that high. Secondly, the fear of them messing up, right? Say you're their boss or something, the fear of them messing up is going to be even higher, right? And they're probably going to mess up. And they're probably going to prove you right. And of course, who's the first one to say, I told you so? Yourself, right? So I told you so. I told you the fear was going to happen. I told you this was going to happen. I was scared of it and it happened, right? Isn't that the most beautiful thing? It's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. You've created now the fears that are manifesting in your life. And of course, this is a perpetual cycle, because when it happens, you're not looking here first. You're not saying, well, I created this. You're saying, they created it. This situation created it. This aspect of my life created it, not me, this. Right? So there goes the perpetual cycle again, because when it continues again, oh, yesterday happened, oh, tomorrow's going to happen. Next day, oh, this happened. It never ends. So there's the perpetual cycle of fear constantly manifesting in your life. So all the fears you have are coming from some illusionary perspective that you think the external has more power than you do. That you don't have the power to actually just change this, change the thoughts, and that if I act through only positive thoughts, only the thoughts that are in line with my, like the exercise we did last week, my experiences, how I want to grow, my contribution, whatever, that's what's going to manifest what I want. Right? So it's like really all on you. The whole responsibility is now on you. So you've just like laid out this manifestation process for yourself. And of course now, we look at these types of fears, right? Fear of responsibility. Is that not like the most obvious in this situation? Not only do you have a fear of this person messing up, you actually have a fear of taking the responsibility for the situation. So it's like, it's constantly like packing on top of each other, and you can't run away with it, because you don't want to face any of the fears. But what you tend to notice is when you face one, you face another, and you face another, and you face another, and it just catapults, right? It's like when you're trying to develop all these principles, like compassion and joy and discipline and focus, but then if you just come back to love, like I love myself, every aspect of myself, and I'll always act through that, then all of these principles just kind of fall into place. So I mean, when we look at all our fears, where are they really stemming from? There's one main one. Does anyone know? Fear of death. Right? We're afraid to die. But of course, on the paradoxical side of that, we're actually afraid to live. Because in all the aspects that you think you're going to die, these are the things that are holding you back from actually just experiencing life. Right? So you have all these aspects you want to do, but you're afraid that something may go wrong with them, so I'm just not going to touch it. There goes life itself. Right? So of course, on the other side of things, fear of failure, we always focus on these like negative, like fear of failure, fear of death, fear of blah, blah, blah. Right? But on fear of failure, you're actually just afraid of success. Right? This idea of, you think you want all this success, but then what happens when you're an overnight success, which never happens, but say tomorrow, all these things pop into your life. People, acknowledgement, responsibility, all eyes on you. It's like the celebrity complex. I use that. This celebrity complex of millions of eyes on these main people, and that's why they crumble. Many of them crumbling. Because this fear of success is actually the bigger fear that we all have. Because now comes responsibility. Now comes like action. You have to literally act in front of people and act in a way that you're representing what you've stood for and what you're trying to represent, or with the image you've created. But if you've created this false image of yourself, then how easy is that to actually keep together? It's not that easy. So this idea of fear of failure, we got to kind of just forget about that. I mean, that's some of it. But really, we're actually afraid of all of the things on the other side. The things that will actually give us the most joy and all of these things that we really want. But if we go a little bit deeper, so we're getting deeper and deeper here. Go a little bit deeper. What is fear really? Fear is just a need. Fear is desire. Because really the majority of your fears are coming from something that you may not get that you think you need, or something that you think you're going to lose that you think you need. Right? Both sides. So if I lose my spouse, I've lost a part of me. If I don't get the promotion, I'm not getting what I think I need to build myself up and make myself better. So on both ends, same thing. Desire. So when you look at your fears, we must really look at, do we really need what we think we need? Right? Like fear of not having money, fear of not having friends, fear of not having all these things. Of course, there's things that will help us like create a foundation for our lives. There's always a balance in this. But the majority of all of these fears we have is either we're not willing to let go and constantly let go. Not like just let go today, but tomorrow you can hold on. No, it's like always letting go. Like you're constantly letting go. And you're constantly sinking into new experiences. Like constant for the rest of your life. Right? But if we're afraid to let go, we're also on the same token going to be afraid to not get. Isn't that the same thing? Why we hoard? Like the hoarders, like they just want to no, I may need it. I may need it tomorrow. Because I don't think I'm going to get it. It's like the same when you hold on to memories. I don't think I'm going to experience something just as good as what I experienced yesterday. So I'm just going to keep remembering it. Perfect example of this. I was at my old high school today doing an entrepreneur talk with some teenagers in grade 11. And it was my whole old high school, so many memories there, so many experiences. I thought I was going to go there and just like literally like sink into it and like look around and like walk around and like remember things. I was in and out. There wasn't even like and I didn't even regret. I was like, and just showing me, my life is moving at a pace that I enjoy, and I don't need to reminisce all the time on all these things because I constantly can create new memories if I need them, which I don't need them. Right? None of us need them. But going even deeper now, where is the stemming of desire coming from? Does anyone know? The creation of the persona, maybe? The egoic persona. I am Corey. Right? Corey is this. My bio. Corey is like my little tokens. Corey is like my certification wall. Right? Corey is my bank account. Corey is my friendships. Corey is my Facebook friends. Corey is my businesses. Is that actually Corey? Maybe the persona. But of course, if we only look at physical, if we only believe ourselves as physical, just physical, then of course, why wouldn't you be afraid to die? I mean, why would you not be afraid to die? Of course, it'd be the most scary thing. If you die, you're no longer existed. You're not there anymore. So you've lost everything. So you would try to do everything in your power to resist death. So staying in a box where you're just comfortable in your couch, you have the alarm system, you have your bank account, you have a steady job, you have your spouse that you put the ring on and they're not leaving you, you're good. Is that not hilarious? So the whole world lives like this. Now if you think of something deeper than that, there may be something that exists other than that. You may be a little bit more than just you and your spouse. You may be a little bit more than just you and your money. You may be a little bit more than you and your job. A little bit more than you and your house. A little bit more than you and your experiences. You may be all of that together, combined, plus more. If you're already everything, what is there to gain? What is there to add to yourself? If you're already everything you need, what is there to put in or keep?
Growth, experience.
Is that not intense? Right? So the naked body is everything you need. If you have no desire, where is there fear? If you have no need, where is there fear? You know, when you look at the old warriors, I always never understood this. I never understood this when I used to watch movies like 300, and you have the guys at the front, like, running, and like, Wah! I'm like, what the they're literally dead. Like, how are they going to live? But it's that same mindset. There's a bigger picture. Obviously, they're saving their society. They have families. They just want to, like, live and have a legacy, right? That's ultimately what the vision is there. And of course, they do all these, like, programmings when they're a child to, like, no fear. Like, you know, it's pretty intense. But ultimately, this journey of no fear, that's where it's at. In the Mayan culture, they welcome death, right? If they were hunting and they had to like jump over a cliff to get a deer, and that deer is going to save the entire community that they have, they're going to do it. And if they die, it's like, well, that was my time, right? Is that not a different mindset than this resisting, like, push it back, push that back, keep pushing it back, right? You don't need to go jump in front of a car, because that's obviously the other side of it, this imbalance, right? But, you know, that egoic nature of us creating the stigma of who we are, now we lose a piece, oh, we got to fill it, right? Or if we don't think we have enough, we got to keep filling it, and hold on, keep it, right? So all of these fears, like it doesn't matter what fear you want to talk about, like any fear is all coming from either, I think I need something that I don't already have, or I think I'm going to lose a piece of myself and it's going to make me lesser. So in this next exercise we're going to get into, you know, there may be things that are popping up in you right now. There may be like, oh, oof, I know exactly what he's talking about. I know exactly what my fears are. I know what I need to face. You're gonna get all of this out. We're gonna write it all out. All the fears. Anything that you think you need, we'll go into just the fears, whatever comes to mind, and then I have a couple questions after.